Hello, everyone. I'm George from Ireland. Well, yet more bad news, alack and alack. So Israel launched these large-scale strikes on Iran, attempting to destroy their nuclear power program, as in for electricity generated by um, uranium. Now, for over 30 years, Israel's been saying the Islamic Republic of Iran is attempting to develop nuclear weapons. Go back to the 1970s, and an Israeli ally, the Shah of Iran, really was attempting to create nuclear weapons. So the Israeli Defense Forces have said that they've attacked these nuclear sites and so on, and claimed that it killed a senior commander of the Revolutionary Guard, Hossein Salami, and so on. The nuclear scientists have been killed. Now, the Iranian media says that civilians have been killed, including children. I wouldn't find that hard to believe. So wait a second. When Israel kills a civilian on purpose, like a scientist, that is a military action. So Israel and its partisans claimed. If the Iranians did the same, that'd be murder. Well, you can't have it both ways. Either it's allowed or it's not allowed. There's sovereign equality. Iran is a sovereign state, just like Israel. So even President Donald Trump has said this is going too far, and said that even he described these attacks as brutal. But to some extent, he appears to be egging them on, saying that whether the Israelis are going to step up their attacks. Now, I note that Israel's been highly successful in its attacks against Iran over the last year or so, and Iran doesn't appear to be able to hit back. Its attempt to riposte with drones have almost no effect. They're almost always shot down because their technology is inferior. So the Israelis really are the masters of military technology, which is when they kill civilians, we know it's no mistake, and so on. So the United States government did not say it approved of Israel's attack, but doesn't appear to have condemned them either. Now, he has urged the Iranians to cut a deal, but as the Iranians point out, they have the right to develop nuclear energy. Many countries have nuclear energy. Why shouldn't Iran? Then it can export more of their oil and gas and so on. So the Iranians are saying that 78 people have been killed, mostly civilians. Mostly these attacks have been on Tehran. Why is Israel doing this? They're not at war against Iran. They could declare war on Iran or something like that. So they claim that Iran is an ally of Hamas. But in what wise is Iran helping Hamas? They can't ship any weapons to them anyway. I mean, it's true that they're allied with with Hezbollah, which is in Lebanon, which I don't think has attacked Israel for several months at least, and so on. Israel still illegally occupying some of Lebanon, illegally occupying some of Syria, stole even more land at the end of last year, and illegally occupied Palestine, not just the West Bank, but also Gaza and so on. Which is not to say that no Palestinians done anything wrong. They have. So the main place that the Israelis attacked was Natanz, which is over 200 kilometers south of Tehran, where uranium is enriched. Now, Iran, they signed that Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action years ago under Obama, agreeing to enrich only a certain amount of uranium, agreeing to rigorous inspections and so forth. Despite them adhering to this with scrupulosity, it was the United States that unilaterally pulled out of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the so-called Iran deal. So, as Steve Schwartz, a Republican, polls to the United States, it left the Iranians with on the moral high ground when Trump ended the deal. I thought Biden might revive it, but he didn't. So Iranians have enriched more uranium, and why shouldn't they? When they adhered to the terms of the deal, the US broke it. Therefore, the Iranians are completely absolved from the deal, and so on. So President Trump is asking the Iranians to agree to even harsher terms. Well, why should they? I suppose there's only carrot, there's no stick. On the other hand, if they do get a deal, they might get sanctions listed. So there are lots of centrifuges there at Natanz. So Trump has actually brought Iranian nuclear weapons closer and not made them further away. And previously, the US government was strongly warning the Israelis not to do this because it'd be escalatory. I suppose the Israelis think that they've really finished off Hamas and they're just so militarily successful, they've got nothing to fear, that the Iranians can't hurt them in any way. And for the moment, that appears to be the case. You know, they took out so many Hezbollah commanders in the last year or so. But I would like to see what the legal basis is for Israel doing this. Is Iran entitled to attack Israel the same way? I don't see why not. If Israel can do it to Iran, Iran can do it to Israel. The Israelis saying, "Oh, Iran's nuclear weapons would be an existential threat to us." So Israeli's nuclear arsenal is an existential threat to everybody else in the Middle East, and they started it. They introduced nuclear weapons to the East, despite constantly lying to the world, saying they wouldn't. Shimon Peres, when his foreign minister back in the 80s, said that the Israelis would not be the ones to introduce nuclear weapons to the region, knowing full well they already had done. Moreover, Tel Aviv won't tell the truth about its nuclear weapons status. It still has this ludicrous policy of ambiguity, even though everybody knows that Eretz Yisrael has a nuclear arsenal. So Iran has signed up to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, but Israel has not. So Israel is the rogue state in all this, and I held no brief for the grand Ayatollah and the mullahs and so on. I don't want theocracy. I want democracy in Iran. I recognize the Iranian regime is oppressive and many people hate it. You can totally disagree with the domestic policy of the regime while still recognizing that Iran is a sovereign state entitled to determine its own defense policy and develop its civil nuclear energy. How come it's permissible for about a dozen countries to have nuclear weapons, but not Iran? And so forth. So goodness, they don't want anyone to be wiped off the map. So the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, that is a military unit, particularly founded after the 1979 revolution, and they are really steeped in the ideology. The army is not that ideological. And so on. Okay, so all sorts of strikes, and that's how the Israelis have managed to knock back the Iranian nuclear program by killing lots of nuclear scientists. They've been doing this for several years. You know, one day the Iranians will be able to avenge themselves, and so Israel will be hurt. I don't want that to happen. I would like there to be peace. I would like there to be adherence to international law. Obviously, better if no country had nuclear weapons, but obviously that's not remotely realistic. And if everyone agreed to disarm, divest themselves of their nuclear arsenals, then only one country would be able to need to lie to have them and hold the world to ransom. This is Operation Rising Lion, and yet again Netanyahu is using this apocalyptic language, saying that Israel's survival's on the stake is at stake. So he's always what's the word, being the boy who cried wolf. You know, since the late 1980s, Iran has been about to get nuclear weapons. You know, Israel's about to be wiped out when it actually gets stronger and more secure than ever before. So he's always managed to have a fairly good relationship with the Kremlin. But in this case, Putin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has denounced this escalatory step by the Israelis, and no doubt the Iranians are going to hit back, but it might be several months, several years, and so on. Goodness, so it was very sad. Obviously, more those who got killed, whether nuclear scientists or not. But you know, what source of the goose is source of the gander. If Israel is entitled to do this, Iran is entitled to counterstrike, and no doubt they shall. So Netanyahu is the ultra hawk. He's an aggressor. He never saw a war that he didn't like. He may yet have his comeuppance, and I wish this Gaza war was over. Right, thank you for watching my channel. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, then on PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. Goodbye.